to Berry School. Send your kids to Berry Schools, a place to realize your dreams. Berry Schools. Send your words to Berry School. Send your kids to Berry School. There's no other place like Berry Schools.
Salut mes élèves, bonjour et bienvenue. Aujourd'hui, nous allons continuer d'où nous nous sommes arrêtés la dernière semaine. Good day, my good students of Beryl International School. Welcome to this lesson. We are going to continue from where we stopped last week. Okay, as a way of revision, we talked about what we did during the holidays. And the topic was qu'est-ce que tu as fait pendant les vacances? So that was our topic. Qu'est-ce que tu as fait pendant les vacances? And we also talked about something else. We talked about passé composé, and that had to do with the past tense. And in that past tense, we talked about the auxiliary verbs and the past participle. So, in other words, we looked at how these verbs end, where they take their participle passé, and then we looked at the auxiliary verbs these verbs use, and we said most of the verbs use or the verbs use être or avoir, and a couple of verbs use être and most verbs use avoir. Okay, and we looked at the participle passé of these regular verbs, and we said that the verbs that end in er, they have their participle passé to be this and accent, and we have this ir participle passé to be I, and the re verbs to have you as their participle passé, which is past participle. Okay, looking at all this, you remember that we also looked at these verbs that take être as their auxiliary verbs, and I said these are movement verbs. What do I mean by movement verbs? Verbs that have the action of moving, like go, which is aller. We have monter, which is to climb. Sortir, which is to go out. And other verbs like descend. Descend is go down. So the movement verb, any verb that has to do with motion, takes être as its avoir, as its auxiliary verb rather. Okay, so apart from that, you know that we have been on this lesson for 2 weeks. By that I mean the other week we looked at passé composé, and the other week we looked at how to ask questions and respond, and we looked at how you ask question, whether you went for holidays, and how to answer. We looked at we looked at non plus, moi, and so on. So we are going to look at this dialogue that I talked about in full today, and we are going to see this passé composé in that dialogue and those questions we looked at in the dialogue. So that's what we are going to concentrate on today. So we're going to look at it from on the textbook as it is, and then we read it, and you will see the ones I've underlined with the red pen has to do with this passé composé, and I'll be explaining as we read.
Okay, so you see the topic here as it is on the textbook. Qu'est-ce que tu as fait pendant les vacances? What did you do during the holidays? So you even see that you have here somebody, a friend visiting a friend. So we're going to look at their dialogue, and you see the ones underlined. You see that all that is passé composé. All right, so we start with this. Bonjour, madame. So she answers, oh, ami. Entrez. Donc, that's my friend. Oh, my friend. Enter then. That's Sarah. Sarah Edon Sasham. Sarah Edon Sasham means Sarah is in her room. Tupo Yale. You can see this. Tupo Yale. You can go there. Okay. She enters. Hear the conversation now. Okay. Let's start with this. Ami, comme je suis contente. She's happy to see her. Now look at the main focus. Tu as changé. You see the changé? You see that is not change. It's pronounced as changé because the last E there has an accent on it. Look at it well. Tu as grandi. That grandi, you see, it ends in I. That's the participe passé that I talked about. Meaning, the grandi here is an IR verb. And changer is an ER verb. Tu as changé, that's passé composé. You have changed, you have grown. Okay, we go on. Alors, raconte. Alors, raconte. Then tell me, qu'est-ce que tu as fait pendant les vacances? What did you do during the holidays? Je suis allé. Now, je suis is from être. That's noun. Suis is an auxiliary verb that helps the aller. Aller is a verb that means to go. So, je suis here. Je suis is from être as an auxiliary verb. So, aller is the main verb. You now see that aller is a movement verb and it takes être as the auxiliary verb. Okay, let's continue. Je suis allé au village chez mes grands-parents. C'est en Côte d'Ivoire à côté de Kohago. So she went to the village, her grandparents' house, close beside Côte d'Ivoire, close to Kohago. Let's continue. You just see the one I've underlined in this conversation. Je suis allé. That's the main focus. Okay. Here you see A. You've seen what I've underlined there also. Tu as retrouvé des copines. Tu as retrouvé des copines. You see that I've underlined that. That is another passé composé. It's talking about past tense. Retrouver there is an ER verb. You see the E as the participle passé with an accent on top there. So, asking whether she has seen her friends. Okay. She said oui. You know oui means yes. Mes cousins aussi and her cousins also. Nous avons aidé. Nous avons is from the verb. Okay, nous avons aidé. That's what I've underlined. That's another passé composé. Nous avons is from the verb avoir. Nous avons aidé. So this verb avoir is a auxiliary verb of the main verb aider here. This main verb aider. Now, aider is not a movement verb. It means to help. So it's not a movement verb. So it takes on avoir as the auxiliary verb. Okay, let's continue. Nous avons aidé ma grand-mère. They helped their grandmother. And you see another, nous avons travaillé. Travailler is not to travel. It means to work. It means to work. So, nous avons travaillé au champ. They worked in the farm. That means she went to the farm when she got to the village. So, travailler here is an ER verb. So, you see the participle passé is E accent on top there. Au champ. Let's continue. Et le soir, nous avons écouté. Écouter means to listen. Écouter is not a movement verb, so it takes avoir as the auxiliary verb. So you see, nous avons écouté les anciens du village. J'ai pris. J'ai pris beaucoup de choses. She learned many things. She learned many things. So that's another passé composé. So we go on. You see a lot of them here. Mais toi, je ne pas parti en vacances. Oh, tu n'es pas parti en vacances. Moi, mais toi, she's now asking about her. Tu n'es pas parti en vacances. She says si. Very important here. There is something I want you to note. Now, tu n'es pas parti. This question is asked in a negative sense. Like you did not go on holidays. So it's not like a positive question or statement. So in French, when you are replying or giving response as yes to a negative response, you can say si instead of we that we know as yes. So si here also means yes. So it's a way of replying or giving response as yes to a negative statement or question. So she says moi aussi je suis parti. Je suis parti. So parti here means to leave, and to leave is a movement verb. So parti is a movement verb. So it takes être as the auxiliary verb. So the parti here is je suis parti as past tense. Je suis parti. I left. Or I left. Je suis allé. Je suis allé. You see the allé again, which is to go, takes être as the auxiliary verb. Je suis allé. Chez mon oncle. She went to the uncle's house pendant 3 semaines, for 3 weeks. Au mois d'août, in the month of August. Mais ce n'est pas très loin. It's not far. C'est un village en Bruce, juste à côté de Daraco. It's a village in Bruce, beside Daraco. Let's continue. Let's see if there is any other. Okay, there is no other passé composé, and then they continue their discussion to the end. Okay, so you have seen what we have been discussing about passé composé just in this topic. Qu'est-ce que tu as fait pendant les vacances? So, not minding the topic, you have seen what they really want you to know about this topic, talking about the past tense. So now you've been able to know these verbs that have être as their auxiliary verbs, and the other group of verbs that have avoir as their auxiliary verb, and also the endings of this verb or this group of verbs that have their participle passé differently. You've seen them already. So having looked at all this, you've already looked at how to give positive or negative replies to questions. We looked at it in our previous videos 2 weeks ago, and you also looked at asking questions about where you live and giving responses. And we also looked at asking questions about when and how long and giving responses. So even in there, you see when she said she went to the village stayed in the uncle's house for 3 months. When you look at that place, you see how it is put and recall how we learned in that class. Okay, having looked at all this, we have a lot to do when we get back, and I have something special for you concerning this topic, because you have to tell me what you did during the holiday. So know what to say and know how you put your tenses as it concerns passé composé, because I'll ask you qu'est-ce que tu as fait pendant les vacances. So till then, I'll have to say au revoir et à tout à l'heure. Miss you.